Welcome to Some Guy's Garage. We're back in the basement for a long overdue update. I haven't been working too much on it lately, just other things on the go, but I do have electrical and plumbing done, and you can probably see off to the side here a bunch of insulation in, so figured it was time to give an update on what I've been working on and what's coming next. So I guess obviously first thing, electrical is roughed in anyway and done. So as I mentioned in the last video, I have run a sub panel here. So this is a Siemens 12 space expandable to 24 space panel, and ran a 6.3 cable, which gives me 60 amps of capacity at 240 volts. And as you can see, there's all sorts of circuits here that have been run in from the various parts of the basement. So much easier to put the panel here and run to the shorter areas of the office, the bathroom, the rec space, the kitchenette, versus going from the panel way down here at the back over here. So lots of shorter runs to here. So for electrical, I actually did quite a few circuits. There's a dedicated AV circuit, and I'll show you these as I go around the room. Dedicated AV circuit, one of the receptacle ones. These are for the kitchenette, so 20 amp ones for the kitchenette. Over here on the other side, I have some for floor heat in the bathroom, so the bathroom's going to get an in-floor heating pad. More lights, the fireplace, so I'm going to do an electric fireplace, and although it only needs 14 wires, so it's only a 15 amp draw, I ran the number 12 wire just because it gives it a little more capacity and less loss, I guess you could say. It is 240 volts as well. And then also the office, I'm running it is partly a workshop over here, so I also ran for the office a 20 amp circuit. This will actually be 20 amp plugs that'll go around the room, and I'll show you that in a second as well. And then just the regular office plugs, or that whole circuit here, runs down here and then through and over, and then the bathroom plugs themselves here as well. So that's everything that I pulled back to this panel. I'll bring you guys down over here to the other panel because there are still more circuits that came back this way. So here at the main panel, there are a couple more. So this is central vac. So I'm going to eventually add a central vac, and that's the dedicated circuit for that. And then another one here for the utility room as well. So I kind of tried to keep this area here as well as the furnace room or the mechanical room are all kind of drawn back to this panel, whereas all the new rec room stuff out here is off of the sub panel. And you can see here where the sub panel comes in. So that's the big feeder wire there that kind of comes into the panel and in, up to a breaker over here. And as you can see, I do have an ESA sticker on the panel. So this has been rough-in inspected and passed the rough-in inspection. So just there's the original build one, but I am getting this properly inspected as well. So then just in this room for electrical, pretty minor stuff. I am going to add 2 lights. So there's a light here, as well as in a second one here, and this one's going to come out. All of the basement lights that you see on right now, all the existing builder stuff is going to come out. So I've rerun all of those circuits because I wanted to split up the lights. Right now, if I click this one light switch, it actually turns off the whole basement, which, other than the stairs, which is really annoying. So I wanted to redo that part and make it so that it is all kind of separate lights everywhere, obviously. But yeah, so I added some lights up here, and then have rewired this. So this switch is temporary and is also going to come out. That's the cold room. There is a new switch in here on the new circuits. And the only other thing I did is lifted up the laundry. So the plug for the washer and dryer are now up a little bit higher rather than down at the floor and roughed in properly now. And as usual, there are the plugs that all go around on the walls, keeping my spacing and all of those sort of things. This is the light switch for the laundry area. There's a light switch here for the little utility room here. I do still have a bit more work to cut in the smoke detectors to the rest of the house, and the couple that I added over here with plugs down below as well. And the existing, this is coming from the garage, off the sub panel in the garage, the shutoff for the compressor here. But you can see, yeah, so this is the new lights for the basement. One of these will be for the stairs. The other one here will be for the light that's going up over here. So as you can see, again, this one's coming out, new one here, and new lights there. And then obviously new plugs. There was no plugs in the wall here, so those all got added. The other thing I've done, and at the low voltage level, is add a bunch of these conduits in. So it's just a small low voltage box with a 3/4 inch conduit that runs up to the ceiling. I'm doing drop ceiling in here, so I'll be able to get at these layers, but if I ever want to run network speakers, things like that, I have a way to chase those cables through these conduits here. And then in the kitchen here, there's countertop plugs at the receptacle height like you would expect. This one will have a switch for some valence lighting or something like that up underneath. And this will just be the regular one with a little rough-in for a fridge, just a bar fridge underneath, so it doesn't need a dedicated circuit like you would do in a normal kitchen. But then moving further down this way, as you can see, I've roughed in some speaker wire as well, so that's one surround channel. There's another one way back there, and another one of those conduit drops as well here. But I did wire in for up to 7.2, I guess you could say, or 7.2.2. So I do have a couple, you can see the coil wire here and the coil wire down there. couple roughed in for Atmos channels, as well as these are actually 4-wire, so I could do 2 surrounds if I needed to, or I have an extra run if I ever need a second set of speakers or something like that, but backs or sides or something like that can be done with those, and there's 2 sets of those on this wall as well. Continuing over here, this is, again, light switches. This one's for the utility room. There's a couple new lights in there. This is for an exhaust fan, so I did add a Panasonic exhaust fan out here, kind of for the kitchenette, but mostly, and I don't know if I've shown this before, but the builder left a stub out the wall here for some reason. I don't know why, it was never used, but because there was a stub out, I was like, might as well put a fan, so I've added a fan here on a separate switch, and then these are for the lights in the basement. So there'll be one 3-way switch up to the thing here, one 3-way switch up to the new light up here, which will replace that light, and then a third one here, which is going to go to these sconces on the wall. So I have 2 kind of sconce rough ends here on either side, which this is going to be the home theater area, so kind of some nice accent lighting there and there. And then finally at the other end is the other 3-way switch and the outdoor light switch. So let's talk a bit about what's going on here. There's quite a bit of wiring in this wall, surprisingly more than you'd expect. The simple one here to talk about, this is the other end of the fireplace coming down here and just into a box for now. This is the fireplace I'm putting in. It's a 60-inch Napoleon. It's just an electric fireplace, but I'm going to rough that in here. So I'm actually going to frame out a little chunk, and it's going to be kind of built in this section, and that's the power for it. The other thing is I have roughed in, like I said, for surround sound. So there's the right channel there. There's also an outlet there on my AV circuit, and that would be for a subwoofer. If I do stereo subwoofers, 722 or something like that, I can put a subwoofer here with speakers and have power there where I need it. And then the same thing happens on this side as well. So there's speaker and power there. And then up here is for the TV, so there's power for the television, and then this will have network, and I also have already drilled holes to run a HDMI cable through, so I can put the HDMI into this as well. And this will feed the TV, and then the center channel is up here, so I haven't quite positioned this yet. It's going to really depend on where the TV is going to go, and I'm not planning on drywalling this side of the closet, the inside, so I'll be able to get this and put this wherever it needs to be once I figure that out with everything stacked up, especially once the fireplace is in. I can kind of measure where the TV height's going to end up and then put a box for the center channel up here somewhere. But that's most of what's going on in this wall. I'll show you a little bit more where those all terminate once I get around to the other side here. The other thing, just while I'm out here, is I have put in bulkheads. So these are as tight as I could possibly make them to the ductwork. There's maybe 1/4 of an inch there below the actual ductwork rather than running a full 2x4 underneath. The reason for that is so I can fit an actual proper normal sized door here. As you can see, I'm going to probably drywall right to there, and it's going to be very tight. So kind of out of necessity, it then drops down here like this to the beam. So to go underneath the beam, again, I'm really tight to the beam, trying to keep my headroom all the way along here, and then does come back up again because there's another door right here. And again, I want to have as much clearance as I can over the door. So it's a little bit of a kind of up and down, but that's what I had to do to get as much clearance as possible and make the doors work. And the other thing you'll notice here is there is a drop of network. This is for an access point. So I have Ubiquiti Wi-Fi here, and I'll add another access point down here in the basement somewhere, possibly here, maybe in the closet, but I have a little bit of extra, and it actually feeds up and over this way. So plenty of room for that. Okay, and moving on to the office, more switches. So I have 2 in here. One is for the main center light, so that's the one up here. That one will go away, like I was saying with all the other builder ones. And then I have another box just roughed in here. The plan is drop ceiling and to put 4 LED panels in the ceiling, and that will be the one that supplies it off of this switch here. So it kind of gives me flexibility in lighting. I can just have a normal, ceiling light or whatever, and then 4 kind of work lights if I really need a lot of brightness. I also put a switch for the lights in the closet. So there'll be a light just up here in the closet as well. And then, like I was saying, all the terminations back into here. So I have right here network. There's a single network feed and an RG6 for cable TV. Not that we really use that anymore, but figured for completeness I should have that. And then I've got a couple boxes here full of sawdust, but a couple boxes here for all the surround channels. So you can see kind of 3 coming into this one and another couple coming into this one. And this one will also probably have the HDMI come out of it as well. So kind of pair those up in a Keystone jack or whatever, and then the HDMI as well. And then, as you can see, there is another conduit here. So another drop into here. The plan is to actually put my AV equipment somewhere floating up in here. So in the closet rather than out there, save some space. I've got a big enough closet here, and that's why I've terminated all of the connections for speakers and network and stuff like that into the closet here, so that I can connect all of that up to the AV rack or whatever I end up putting here. And then moving back out into the office space, like I mentioned, I have plugs at desk height here, and counter height here and here. Those are the 20 amp circuit there. And I'm planning to put a desk along this wall and workbench along this wall. So having all of those plugs doubles as well, so they're quad box up at this level just gives me a lot of electrical at that height. I do still have regular plugs that you'd expect in a room down at the regular height, and one extra plug up here for a TV, so I can wall mount a TV above the desk if I want. And that's what this conduit's for. So I have a conduit up to the ceiling here for the TV, and then down here as well. And there's 2 network drops here, so I have a pair of network into this one, and then this I can run, say, HDMI back up to the TV from a computer below or something like that. So I have some access here as I change things over or whatever I want to do in the future. I've got some flexibility with that. And the only other thing is I do have one more conduit drop here. So there is a conduit that, this one goes all the way up to my attic, that I put in when we were building the house, and that wire actually does an access point on the 2nd floor. But yeah, there's a bit of conduit here that I can get access to if I need to run extra wires in the future. And then finally into the bathroom, kind of using this for storage at the moment, but have a vanity light roughed in, a ceiling light, another fan, so another one of those Panasonic fans are in here, and just another outlet that maybe for a towel warmer or something like that in the future. And all that kind of comes back to here. So I have vanity light, ceiling light, or ceiling light, vanity light, or something like that, and the ceiling fan. Actually, I think it's ceiling light, ceiling fan, vanity light, some combination thereof. And then this is the one for the heated floors. So it has power coming in, the switching and like thermostat would be in here, and then conduit down to the floor kind of drops out down there by the baseboard where that would be, and that can feed the mat that actually goes under the floor. But that's basically it for electrical. It's surprising how many circuits you end up doing for a space like this when you want to have multi-purpose, so office, a home theater, a kitchenette, all of those sort of things with a bathroom. The number of circuits do add up really quickly, but it's nice to get it all organized and on a separate panel over here, such that I don't have to, or I didn't have to run all of those from the main panel, and just a lot tidier that way. Then next, as for plumbing, it's a little darker here, but this is where I did most of the plumbing connections for everything, just up here in the ceiling. So kind of from one side to the other, there is the feed from the hot water tank there, and this one here is the feed from the cold water. But I have ones for the shower here with shutoffs. These are just kind of cut long right now, but once I get the shower installed, these will get cut short to whatever length they need to be in, kind of buttoned up a little bit better. But that's shower. There's a takeoff for the toilet, so that's the toilet's water feed. I did redo some of the lines to the water softener here just to pull it back closer to the wall and tie into this a little nicer. And then off of here, up at this end, you can see the cold and hot that go off to the sink over here. And then I also did reconnect a line to our upstairs kitchen sink here. So this one that goes kind of along there was an existing line. This just shortens the run so it gets hot a little faster. And then the other 2 lines just here are the ones over to the kitchenette. So there's 2 lines over there for the sink at the kitchenette. And just talking about the kitchenette, so there's hot and cold water, and then I just ran the plumbing to an existing stack here that the builder had put in for this specific purpose. So that was a pretty simple run to do. Moving over to the bathroom then, so like I said, sink at the vanity with the drain. I just had to run that from the stack that the builder put in over there. Not ideal, really. Maybe this should have come over here. I'm gonna have to kind of elbow it in or something like that. But just given the height, if I kept going with it, the slopes are gonna start to get funny. I would have had to redo all of that, so I kind of just left it like that. It will work in the end, but just kind of another elbow in there. Somewhere buried in here under this big mess is the drain for the shower. I did have to move that, and I'll show a picture on the screen now, but had to jackhammer out a section of the floor, move the drain over a little bit to get it to the right 12 by 12 rough into the walls, and then concrete it all back up. But I'll show a few pictures of that. But anyway, as you can see with the pictures, it's a pretty simple thing to do. And I guess the other thing is I was surprised just how deep down in the floor it was. It was kind of digging and digging and digging and hoping I would eventually find the bottom. So a little bit more backfill and all of that sort of stuff, but overall that went pretty well. And I guess the only other thing that got done really, or big thing anyway, is I did get the bulkhead above here done. So this is all enclosed up to here so that it can be drywalled on the ceiling. Unfortunately, these doors, they ended up having to be 78, not the usual 80s, because just the height of the ceiling under the ductwork and things like that. I kind of unfortunately had to do that with both these doors. Not a big deal. They make 78-inch doors that are readily available, but something I did have to deal with here. So yeah, I mean, that's the majority of what I've done in the last few months here. Like I said, I've kind of put things on hold. I haven't been moving too fast once I got the electrical and plumbing done. I did get bulkheads, electrical, plumbing, and as I'm sure you can guess based on the pile here, the next big thing is insulating. So I have, I think, 9 bales of the R22, a dozen of the R14, and a few Safe and Sound as well. So R22, all of the pink insulation that you see over there is going to come out and get replaced with Roxol. The R14 is all for these stud walls here. And then the safe and sound, I'm going to do at least the dividing walls that are going to get drywalled and I won't be able to get at later. And up above all of this ductwork here, I'm going to do the safe and sound. I only have 6 bales of that, which isn't enough to do the whole ceiling yet. But since the ceiling is going to be drop ceiling, I'm only going to do the parts that I can't access before I drywall, and then I'll come back and do the rest of that once the drywall's up and I'm ready to go on to ceiling finishing. I'll add the Roxel up in there at that time. But I guess that's all for today, and as an update, obviously the next big thing is insulation. So hopefully in the next month or so I'll get this all installed before it gets really cold here in Canada. I do have a few other odds and ends to tidy up and like finish off, but not too much left before I can get all the insulation through the walls. So that is coming next, and then I'm probably on pause until spring. The next big thing before drywall or any of that is I do need to do floor leveling. And I can't really mix in the winter. I'd like to be able to mix outside, out back there. So it's going to be a little difficult with the cold weather, and I'll probably hold off till spring, but everything will be insulated and kind of at a good stopping point that I can hold off. There's little things, like I said, the kind of the duct for the fan there. I do need to get central vac extended. You can see the pipe there. Haven't finished off the central vac. I do have a little bit more plumbing down back here, so I haven't finished the plumbing for the washer dryer here. It's still kind of roughed in. We need to be able to use it, so I'm gonna have to do a rough in here. Probably gonna put one of those boxes there that'll have the drain and the two water lines, and then I do need to rough in for the sink to go back in here, like the laundry tub, and also probably replace this ductwork or do something with the ductwork here for the dryer. So yeah, just a few other odds and ends that I do need to get done, and like I said, the insulation as well. Anyway, that's it for today. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you aren't already subscribed, please consider it. And as always, thanks for watching.